Hey guys, what's up? I am back for my second part of this 1-2 video at full tilt. I should have just sat out after I stopped it, but it's been 2 minutes since I stopped the last one just because Camtasia had to do whatever it does to save the file. But the good news is absolutely nothing happened and we didn't miss any big hands. But I apologize for not just sitting out and just stopping the action, but I will definitely do that next time I make a multi-part video. Anyway, if anyone is watching this segment before the last one, I would highly recommend you just stop and go watch the first video. But if not, I've been here for about 50 minutes, and we made a little bit of money, built up our stacks a little bit, and we have a fish on each of our tables that we cover, which is great, and we have some other decent players as well. So we don't have a whole lot of history with the decent players. I've 3-bet this guy once. I played a 3-bet pot with this Niz whatever guy, and we have been playing most of our pots with the Lone Ranger and You Never Know. So hopefully in this video we can stack each of these guys multiple times and take all their money. So that is going to be the goal for the next 50 minutes. And I'm going to do the best I can to explain some of the dynamics that you get. This is an interesting, what I mean is this is kind of an interesting dynamic that happens. And when you have a very weak player with a bunch of better players all at once, you occasionally get some interesting dynamics between the better players because they're constantly fighting to play pots with the weaker player. So that's something to keep in mind, and we might see some of that develop here. This I am going to... I have some options on the right. This is an easy continuation bet on the left. On the right, let's just bet. Sometimes I would, if it was just a heads-up pot, I would probably call and just try to get to showdown and pick off some bluffs in the meantime. But it's one of those ways you can win the most when you're behind, but you don't have the ace on the ace-high board. Okay, we're going to c-bet again here. This guy I expect to be having, he limped the button. He's a 58. Oh my god. Guess he's got an 8. Okay, well this guy's a 58-13. His range is wide. He could be calling me with all sorts of trash. So I like another bet here. However, now that he's shoved, it's obvious what he's got, and we don't have a lot of equity against an 8, so we have to fold, which is too bad. But so we know that he waits for the turn to make his big move. Waits for the turn to shove a flopped made hand. Okay. I'm not going to try to get cute with this bottom pair. Maybe we can just show it down cheaply. All right. Oh. Okay. He turned me. I like to show down against weak players for small bets. I do not like to let them bluff cheaply. I don't like to let them get away with any of that garbage. And I also like, when I'm getting a very good price to call, I like to see what kind of ranges they're doing that with, so I can have some cheap information I can use in the future against them. So, okay, I've opened this up. Now, this is kind of interesting because these 3 players to my left are all just very tight. 15, 11, and 12 VPs. Like, that's just ridiculous. So what that tells me is I can open a much wider range because, and I can essentially isolate this guy much more liberally because I don't expect these guys to be coming along very much. Now, this is not a hand I'm going to continuation bet. A Jack 10 flop is a board that hits so many hands. Lots of pair hands and lots of straight hands. And not to mention the fact that people tend to play Jack 10 for any price just because, for whatever reason, it's Jack 10 and everyone seems to think it's just an incredible hand. So, now that everyone's checked, however, the problem is this 9 has just made the board even more drawy. So I'm just going to check again. I just don't think I'm going to get 2 folds. if I bet there, and it's basically a bluff anyway. So, and I'm just gonna fold. Okay, we flop an overpair with our sevens. Okay, we're gonna 3-bet our jacks, very standard. And we are going to pot this as well. Okay. Now, this is a play I've actually been playing around with. Let's assume I had, 2-3 or whatever. I had a really weak hand. Okay, he's 4-bet me. I've only 3-bet. I'll get back to that in a minute. I have 3-bet this guy one other time. So I am really struggling with the idea that he would 4-bet me just the second time I 3-bet him. And did it pretty quickly. He's a 29-18. I've been fairly active. I'm playing a 35-28. And I haven't shown a whole lot of hands down. Oh man, this is kind of tough. This guy is pretty loose aggressive. He's also under the gun, which, man, I really hate to fold this. I'm gonna give him credit for the 4-bet, I guess. I really hate to fold there, but I gotta give him a range of. I gotta give him a range of like ace queen suited is probably the worst hand, and I gotta give him, and probably queens are better. And I don't have my equity is not that great against that range. And if you take out ace queen, my equity drops to like 35 or 40%. So the biggest factor there, where I think pushes that hand toward a fold, is the fact that he's under the gun and I'm under the gun +1. That is a totally different dynamic than if he was the cutoff and I was the button. Then, if in that situation, I would be much more likely to. Oh my god, that sucks. In that situation, I would be much more likely to play the hand for stacks because I know he's going to be. We both know that he's going to be opening lighter in the cutoff than he is under the gun. We both know that I'm going to be 3-betting lighter on the button than I am in middle position. And therefore, we both know that he's going to be 4-betting me lighter. So Jack becomes a much better hand in that situation than in the one we were just in, where he's under the gun and I'm 3-betting the under the gun raiser. So we're both representing good hands. And unfortunately, my jacks just do not have a ton of equity against a reasonable hand, a reasonable 4-betting range from under the gun. Having said that, if we see any of this, as we adjust our read with this guy, we may find out that was a bad fold. But in general, I just don't. Our jacks just don't fare that well, which is unfortunate. But I think that fold's correct. I don't like making tight folds, but I think that had to be done. I think it's just a little sloppy to commit there in the under the gun +1 situation. And that's actually what I was talking about, what I was starting to talk about earlier. I've been playing around with that play a little bit, whereas if you think someone's really raising a lot and you can, and you know that they know that you have more respect for their under the gun raise, the normal, by 3-betting their under the gun raise, you can really show a lot of strength, and you can play some interesting situations post flop develop if they in fact call you, just because you're representing a much more narrow range. Just like this is such a crappy flop. I'm gonna check. This is a very unfortunate board. So he raised. He's got a wide range. Calls my 3-bet. I'm just gonna give up here. I just don't have any good options. If we're a little bit deeper, a check raise would be all right, but I don't know. A lot of times I would see bet there. It's very low. It's a very low card board, but at the same time, like so many pairs that he would call me with are over pairs that that hurts our folding equity. Whereas like if we had missed but the flop was like queen high, we have generally a lot more folding equity against hands like jacks, tens, nines, that kind of thing. Okay, here this ace has changed nothing, so I don't think we can double barrel because it's even less likely we have an ace. If he has an ace, he's certainly not folding, and it's less believable that he's more unlikely to fold a 10 now that there's two aces out there. Now what? I'm just gonna give up. I just don't think he's gonna fold. I think he's got to play a 10. There are no draws, and I just don't think he's gonna give me credit for an ace here. I don't think he would have given me credit for an ace on the turn, to be honest. Okay, he had bottom pair. All right, that's unfortunate. Okay, this is a fold as well, because this guy has. This guy could be catching on to what I'm doing, and I have been raising from the blinds a lot when this guy limps. So this guy could just be 3-betting me because he knows that. But when the small blind raises and the big blind 3-bets, that particular dynamic is one where the big blind will usually have a very strong range of hands, and that range does not. King Jack does not do well against that range. However, it is possible this guy's picking up on what I've been doing to the Lone Ranger up here, but if he does that more often, then we will certainly be looking to play back. But first time I've seen him 3-bet, I'm not going to, especially in that position, I'm not going to do a whole lot about it. I'm not going to try to go to war with that hand. Okay, this is for value, and they both fold. Let's get some more chips here. Let's raise this guy. Let's punish him for being a 12-9. And we're going to raise this. Okay. Let's punish both these guys for being so tight. When both blinds are this tight, I'll probably be stealing like crazy just because they're both just insanely tight. They're going to be playing back with such a narrow range of cards that, stealing's just going to show a tremendous profit long run in that spot. Okay, and this is actually a really great situation. When the guys on your left are this tight, it's just like a paved road right to the weak player, and you just have so much better access to him, and it really improves your ability to play pots with him when these guys get out of your way so often. So that is always nice and always welcome. Yeah, I'm going to just keep punishing these guys because these guys need to learn how to play poker. You just can't play that way and make much money. Now, okay, this guy he's so loose, a 30-25. I'm going to call. Largely because the Lone Ranger's in the pot. Heads up, I would just fold. Just even against a loose player, ace-10 off is just such a horrible hand to be playing out of position. So if the Lone Ranger had not called, I would have folded. But I think our expectation improves enough when he's in the pot that this is a callable hand. Ace-Jack, I would have 3-betted, by the way. Because Ace-Jack kills this guy's range. And let's see it. Okay, we got top pair with a gutter. Let's fire. And we got a lot of action. Okay, this is interesting. Let's try to get ourselves in a blind war right here. This I'm going to barrel this. No action. That sucks. All right, I've kind of gotten myself into a crappy spot here. Um, the way I feel about this hand, I feel like you either check the flop, check and call, or you either check and or you play it more aggressively like I am. This guy posted, but he also waited for the turn. What kind of odds am I getting? Another pot will be 120. I'm getting 3 to. God damn it! All right, forgot my time bank was out. What I was trying to say was that I was getting 3 to 1 effectively, and who knows what that guy had, but folding's not a huge mistake, but I was tempted to show that hand down. Okay, that's unfortunate. Our buddy over here has left the table. But I'm trying to decide what to do about that. These guys are so tight, we're going to be able to just keep running them over profitably. It's tempting to just stay. And this guy we have a little history with that we can take advantage of. So, okay, now this guy has 3-bet me again. This, I'm now going to 4-bet him. Make a smaller size 4-bet. That will pretty much shut down every worse hand. Or, it'll shut down a lot of his range. And I really like making... Okay. He calls. I really like the smallish 4-bet because it represents it's a very strong move, but it also leaves open the possibility for them to make a huge mistake and try to bluff you off of it when you do have a real hand. So, okay, and he is checked. I'm going to bet half pot, I guess. Ace-king, he had to have bet ace-king there. We're at 75. Make it look like trying to make it look like we're trying to rep the ace king check raise. Okay, and he outplayed me on this hand, and that's okay. I would expect if he's calling with ace king there, I would. Let me put this differently. If I'm him on that flop with ace king, I'm probably gonna throw something out there. I don't know if I'm just gonna check that behind. On the other hand, it's, if he thinks I'm going to fire the turn, which I did, that could be a really great play. But he certainly got the best of me in that situation, and that's okay. That's going to happen. That has to happen occasionally. But now that we have a feel for this guy, we are going to use what just happened. We're going to use that against him at the soonest possible opportunity. I've established that we can 4-bet without a hand. And the other thing is like the times where he has something a lot weaker on that turn and he has to give up, that bluff that bluff will show a lot of profit, and I don't think we had to bet any more than that to accomplish the same thing. Like if I'd bet 120, he still would have shoved, and I would have lost a lot more. I don't think that had to be a very expensive bluff. So I like my bluff size. And I think that I think he played the hand well. He checked it behind on the turn, hoping that I would make a stab at it, which I did, and he won a nice pot. But now that we know this guy can get a little tricky, we will be adjusting our play accordingly. And I do like to show people that I can 4-bet light. This is interesting. I'm gonna have to call. I'm not folding. Okay, that is just crazy to me. I mean, I don't even know what he was representing there. I put him on a missed flush. I love seeing him call 2 bets with overcards. Now, this is so strong. He's shoving over a 3-bet. I don't know anything about this guy. Okay, let's see. Come on, give me the ace. queen. Oh, okay. And that's such a strong play, but the guy bought in a little short. He didn't, which generally does not, convince me that he really is a strong player. If I had known anything about him, I mean, he just got here. If I had known anything about him, I mean, I would have probably known exactly what to do there. But I think you see other hands other than aces and kings there enough of the time that, I'm just not. It's just not a hand I really am that excited to fold, ever pre-flop. And I mean that could be a difference between, 1-2 and 5-10. At 5-10, I mean you're almost never folding ace king pre-flop. It's everyone thinks it's a nuts pre-flop, and basically ranges are wide enough where it's just not a hand you're gonna be folding. But even still, I have no problem folding to that guy. I've seen fives there, I've seen sixes there, and you see guys that, and maybe he could even be a thinking player who knows how much strength he's representing. And I've also been, I've been raising a lot pre-flop, so with the image I've got, raising 30% of my hands pre-flop, that's not a hand I'm going to be getting away from. It's just not how you play your image. So that's fine. And okay, that didn't work out well. Again, I'm playing a little looser out of position just because the Lone Ranger is so loose, and we know we've got great implied odds against him. Like he just called two. I just got 2 streets of value against overcards. I got 3 streets of value against overcards against him. So in that last hand, so we know that there's value to be had. I'm going to call here because this guy is so tight. He's a 15-13, and it can be all right to play. Ace king I would have definitely 3-bet, but ace queen against a guy who's going to have position on me. I don't really mind slowing things down a little bit against not like ZS position, but he's just so tight. I mean, look at his numbers. So I'm just going to give this up. I'm just not that interested. His range is his under the gun raising range. 10s or better make up a big part of that, and I just I just don't see a reason to try to check raise him off of hands like that. And this we are going to fold. Okay, so on this left table, we have been fairly active, and we want to tighten up now. And we've had to do some folding, and everyone saw my ace king hand, and that was a solid hand. But other than that, I haven't shown down a whole lot, but I have been collecting a lot of. I've been collecting some pots before I just got stacked. So I am definitely going to tighten up a little bit. So. We have kind of a solid 35-28 image, and I'm going to slow things down. Now, over here, I'm playing 48-41, just because the Lone Ranger is in every hand, and I want to play pots with him. Now, a lot of time, like, what I'll be doing is I'll be tightening up against certain players. Like, I'll be playing if this guy folds pre-flop, I'll be tightening up a lot. But, the situation over here is a little bit different because I really don't have a very good reason to tighten up when this guy is so loose and I've got position on him. I want to be really playing every pot I can with him, with every reasonable hand I can. So, and also the other thing is this guy is probably playing back at me a little bit, and these guys saw that. So, these guys know that they saw me get out of line with that 4-bet. And they saw me get out of line, when I fired at the king. So, okay, and he's 3-betting me again. This is not a time I'm going to. I got to give him credit once because, well, let me think here. I'm gonna have to give him credit on this one. Tempting to, if I 4-bet him, I'm going to have to make a pretty big 4-bet. And the stacks are okay for it, but God, this hand's just, yeah, let's give him one, and then let's see if we can't pick something up that we can 4-bet him with, and then hopefully we get him to play back at us. This guy check raises, we have nothing, we're going to have to fold. And again, we're going to raise. I'm not going to let up just because this guy is 3-betting me a lot. And I'll be 4-betting his next 3-bet. I gave the best reason to give him credit on that is because we want to maintain some sort of image of sanity, because we still want to have fold equity. If I'd 4-bet him again and he had shoved and I folded, my image is going to be so bad at that point that I will have pretty much zero fold equity against probably anyone at the table. And we want to have a little bit. We want to have an action image that's going to get us paid, but we also want a little bit of credibility so that we can take some pots down. Okay, now this guy has 3-bet me. This is a blind battle. This guy is tight. What am I going to do here? I'm going to call this one. And we're going to play this for stacks. I've been attacking this guy's blind relentlessly, and he knows it. It's very likely he's putting a play on me. Now I'm going to check raise this. The problem with 4-betting right there is I'm going to have to play for stacks after I 4-bet, and it's going to shut down a lot of his ranges I beat. Whereas if I play the hand this way, and I check shove, I can rep a flush draw. And I think I can get action from a lot of weaker aces. Whereas a 4-bet will shut down ace-jack, ace-9, that kind of thing. So when I just call, like, my calling range is going to be on the wide side, and I can rep I just can rep a wider range of hands here, and hopefully get action from a hand that beats me. Excuse me, from a hand that I beat. So, I like that line, and that was a really great board with the flush draw. You know, we can rep that flush draw beautifully. So, that is a kind of it's a little more less straightforward, but I like to be wary of when I'm going to make a 4-bet. You always got to be aware of how your hand is going to stand up to the range that you're going to get action from. So, and ace queen is just too good to be 4-betting than folding. You can't do that. So, you know, you will just put way too much money in just to fold out if you get raised. Like, that's just not a strong play. But I was kind of hoping he'd call with like ace-jack there. Okay, so and this is a chop. Okay, it's like I had a legit hand. E6. Okay, I'm not sure what I think of this Lorsey guy. You know, we saw him straight shove his kings. He played that hand fine. But he's also doing things like limping under the gun. And the limping under the gun thing, I really just have no respect for. I mean, like, what is any good player going to be doing that with? Like, a small pair, a small suited connector? I mean, if that's the only thing you limp under the gun with, like, you're just telling everybody what you have. And not to mention the fact that when you do, those are hands where, you know, you're hoping to flop hard. And when you flop hard and you've limped, a lot of the time the pot's going to be limped, and you're going to have a tiny pot with a huge hand, and it's going to be extremely difficult to win a big pot. So it's kind of, in my opinion, it's counterproductive. Yeah, you get to see a flop cheaply, but then what do you do once you hit? Whereas if you make your normal raise, you know, you've already got kind of a pot going, and it's a raise pot, so people will be much more interested in fighting for it. So I just don't see any reason to be doing that. This is 6 max, obviously, and full ring might be a different story, but, you know, at 6 max, I just don't think it is a play that you want to really be doing. So that doesn't really I don't really gain a lot of respect for Lorsey when I see him doing that. Okay, let's just limp. We really don't have much fold. We know we don't have any fold equity against this guy, and this is hand just isn't going to flop well that often. So now this guy's raised. I'm going to fold now. That's just not a hand I really want to be playing out of position in a three-way pot. Okay, now this guy's decided to play back at me. These guys have both been playing back at me. Has this guy 3-bet me before? Yes, he has. Now this is a really great time to 4-bet, in my opinion. I've been pounding on this guy's blinds for the last hour and a half, and he has 3-bet me one other time, and in that hand I won. In that hand I called and ended up winning the pot post flop. Now he's now decided to 3-bet me again, and it can be a really great time to 4-bet somebody the first time they 3-bet you, because it's usually a bluff. They're trying to slow you down. So if you go one step further and 4-bet them right away, you just know, based on that logic, they're just not going to have something they're going to be able to proceed with all that often. And while it wasn't the first time this guy's 4-bet me or 3-bet me, I just think that the timing and the amount that I've been pounding on his blinds is not really going to lend itself to him having a real hand there very often. So I think that was a really good time to 4-bet, and he folded. So it worked out all right. Now this guy is getting irritating. We will definitely be calling. If this hand were 10s or better, okay, well, this has just made this hand a lot easier to play. 10s, I would be felting 10-10 there all the time against this guy. And 9-9 would be a little closer. 8-8 is a lot more marginal. But nonetheless, a very, very strong case can be made for 4-betting and calling a shove with 8-8 against this guy. And that would not be out of the question at all. So I'm really hoping before this video is over we can really start. We're going to start pounding on this guy. He's 3-betting me relentlessly. As he should. I mean, I'm playing a 50-40 game. So I don't really blame him for doing that. But we can't, we're not going to let him dictate the action. We are going to be dictating the action. And we are going to be fighting back. So folding there would have. I was not going to fold the 8-8 there had this guy not woken up with whatever he had. Okay, so this is just an easy fold in a heads-up pot. Okay, we can fold that. We're going to have to fold this. But yeah, when you're sizing your 4-bet, I really like to make it. I'm not crazy about like the min 4-bet, which is kind of what I did to this guy. I kind of screwed up that size. It should have been about $10 larger, but big enough so maybe like a 2.5 of what they 3-bet you, just so that it leaves some doubt in their mind that you're serious. And once they have that doubt and they can make a huge mistake like shove bluff you, then you can pick off. Then you can really be in a great spot when you've got a hand. And I mean, most of the time, I mean, I'll probably have something decent when I'm 4-betting. You know, I'm not going to be doing it with 9-10 offsuit very often, but as long as that, you know, like I'll do, like, that was purely a function of the timing and definitely not a function of my cards. But when you work kind of the bluffs in there, then you can really get paid when you have a big hand. Okay, now here's an interesting question. We know this guy does not like to fold to me at all. If he has an ace, he's going to check raise me. I think he check raised earlier. So I'm going to just call him. I'm going to check this, excuse me. And I think he will bluff something else. But I want to show this hand down against this guy. I do not want to have to fold at any point here. So, okay, I'm going to call. I think I'm going to call. he bluffed half pot when he missed his other cards. I'm gonna pay this off. He has an ace on the time here for sure. Okay, but we've also seen him call with bottom pair over cards. You know, any pocket pair there, and you know we've seen him bluff the river, and I just I don't mind paying that off. The guy's just not a very good player, and I like to show hands down, especially getting 3-1 on that. Excuse me, no, yeah, 3-1. So I only need to win that hand 1-3, so 1-4. So that's fine. Okay, let's see what he's got here. So this went, okay, no showdown. Nice. Okay. Let's see if we can't get some action. Okay, so Lorsey turns out to be a 41-10. That doesn't surprise me at all, considering the amount of limping we've seen from him. Okay, no action again. It's unfortunate. Now I've been really kind of reevaluating how I play pocket pairs from the blinds against a raise. Against a player who I think I have more fold equity against, I would 3-bet this. But I think I'm just gonna call, and I think this guy, I think I have enough implied odds. This is a horrible flop, so I'm gonna check fold. But I think when I hit my set, this guy's loose enough that I think I can get some money out of him. This is just generally kind of a crappy situation to be in, because a lot of times when you call that raise with a pocket pair like this, I might have the best hand now. I'm gonna try to get a cheap showdown. A lot of times, a button raiser has such a wide range that it's just so hard to get paid the money you need to make from a set to have made the pre-flop call possible, that it's often a losing proposition. But other times you have, so by 3-betting him, then you capture the fold equity of winning the pot right there, and also the times you hit your set, and if he calls your 3-bet, then it's so much easier to get your money in because it's a 3-bet pot. But so I'm starting to try to play around with either folding or 3-betting. Against this guy, however, I don't think that's the way to go. And again, this guy's so tight, but against this particular player, I don't really think that was the way to go. Against different players, it's more of a tag player. I think there's a lot to be said for just 3-betting that. But yeah, I'm still thinking about that 10-10 hand. I mean, I could make a case for folding it, but the other thing is, like, we know the guy likes to bluff, and when that 4-bet, or excuse me, when the 4 straight hit on the river, it's nice for him to be able to rep that. I mean, I just can't see folding there all that often. Okay, I've been tight here for a few orbits, so I'm trying to. That's a good flop. We flopped the open ender, and let's just try to build a pot up so we can get paid when we hit. I've tightened up for a few orbits, so I don't mind the somewhat loose open in middle position. Okay, I'm going to fire this again because this is such a great card. It's a really great card for me to represent right here. Okay, so even against this guy, I think that's just such a great bluff card that I still expect to get folds. And also, it's not like I had showdown value at all, so I was going to have to to win that was going to have to happen. But there's no way I was giving up just because this guy called 1-bet. Okay. I'm getting a lot of respect under the gun. That is crazy. to loosen up. I wonder if they're just noticing that I'm haven't raised under the gun much, or it's very possible. I mean, these guys are probably fairly observant. So if I was going to be here another hour, I would definitely just start raising a lot of trash from under the gun, just because I'm getting just way too much respect there. And I want to get some, most of my under the gun hands are going to be good hands, and I want action. But so I would definitely throw in some loose opens to mix that up a little bit. Okay. The Ranger apparently has... Okay, must be a pretty good hand. And I'm going to pass on this. This in a multi-way pot, easy call. No dice. So this is a horrible board to do anything but check and fold, obviously. And we also know this guy is pretty timid on the flop. I was surprised to see he did not ever continuation bet his ace-10 on that king high board. I think that was interesting. So, when we see him betting, we're gonna have to give him credit. Pretty good board to continuation bet. The guy limped, and this hand really does not hit much at all. So it's a good time to pick it up. And obviously we're going to play. Okay, another decent hand. I'm gonna fire this up. Everyone's just folding like crazy to me. It's ridiculous. And now we get tons of action when we have a horrible hand. Okay, now that I've gotten myself into this situation, I'm gonna fire, because this is a good, nice and dry board to continuation bet. We're done with the hand after this bet. Okay, so we are going to just check and fold. Yep, that's unfortunate. The reason I like that continuation bet is because not only is the board dry, and without it, it's tough to continue without a 10 or a flush draw, but it seems that I really like when I have a hand that's 0 showdown value. I like continuation betting into multiple opponents because it looks so strong, and so many people will say, why? How on earth can we be betting into so many people if he doesn't have it? And the other thing I like to do, the other side of that, is that, let's say I've called on the button, and it's like a 4-way pot, and I'm on the button with some pseudo connector or something I just called with pre-flop, and it gets checked all the way. The board's like ace high, and it gets checked all the way around to me. That's a great spot that I will often fire at, because when the pot is multi-way, people tend to play much more straightforward poker, which I think is interesting. But so to take advantage of that, obviously you want to do the opposite and start firing if you have nothing, and because it looks like such a strong play, you're putting all this money in against all these different opponents, so obviously they're going to have to give you credit for it, and that play works like a surprising amount of the time, and we really haven't seen that. We haven't really seen an example of that in any of my videos, but I'll try to point that out when it finally happens, because that can be a great spot. And that just goes back to using position. But you always got to be thinking a little bit creatively, and be thinking about how how your action is going to appear, and how your action is going to appear to your opponents. So, okay, so he's called me again. Again, not a great flop. Let's just check it back, because I don't expect him to fold. Now we got a gutter to go with our overcards. Overcard, basically. The 10's not going to do much for me. So at this point I'm just going to fold. You know, this is a very connected board, and I'm not even sure if the king is going to be an out. I'm basically drawing to an 8, and then even then, how much money am I going to make off that when there's 4 to a straight? So that's not a that's a situation where I'm actually going to slow down and just kind of give it to him. Okay, he's limped again. Let's bump it up. Okay, I guess I will go. Okay, this guy's now. He's doing what I've been doing. This would be a really interesting spot to limp re-raise him. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's mess with him, because, and this is kind of a sporadic play that I didn't even think about until I saw him do this, but every single time I limp in the small blind, he raises. And he's done this like the last 4 or 5 orbits. Basically, if I don't raise this limper, he goes ahead and does it. So, and this is a little on the questionable side, just because we haven't seen him give me a lot of respect. But this is a play that is going to confuse him enough that I expect him to fold the vast majority of his hands, which is what he does. And you know, that's just something to really kind of make him think twice before he does the same play that has worked the last 4 times, where he jacks it up and all the limpers fold. You just can't have that going on. So, and he was getting a little too comfortable with that. And so when I do that, it makes it look like, you know, I totally saw it coming and I've got aces or whatever. But obviously I didn't. But if I'm him and I see the small blind do that, like, what am I going to be able to do about it? I mean, we know most of his range is not awesome hands because has such a high PFR. So I think that's a good example of just you know, trying to okay, we want to get this all in, obviously. So let's just jack it up and try to good. Let's call king 8. Okay, maybe we can make some more money back. And this hand I have showdown value. And I don't know. We know we could have anything. I'm hoping to. Okay, he does his half pot bet again. I'm 1 for 1 in picking. Actually, I'm 1 and 2 in picking off his half pot bets. One time he had a flush. One time he had overcards, and it was that last hand where he had the ace. So, do I have any time bank? Yeah. Check, call. Flush draw missed. Overcards, he did limp. Did he really limp a king? This guy limps everything. Six, I don't think he would do that with a 5. Oh my god, I hate full tilt. I took my eyes off the time bank. That's unfortunate. Okay, the full tilt time bank situation, I do not like. I don't think you get enough time. And I wouldn't care if they gave you longer to think about the decision before, but that's all right, whatever. Folding there is not a huge mistake. I was leaning toward a call, but at the same time, it's probably a pretty neutral EV situation, given that board and the way he's been betting the river. But that's okay. Not getting upset about that. Something that trivial. Okay, well, we are right about at the 50-minute mark. I'll play about to be in this blind, so I'll play one more orbit on each of these tables, and then we'll call it a day. But hopefully the two-part video worked out. I think it's cool just because you get to see a little more of these guys, and we got into some interesting situations we wouldn't have seen had it just been a one-part video. Here we have to fold because basically, again, because of the under the gun and the under the gun razor situation. When someone raises an under the gun razor, it's just very often it's a real hand, and I'm willing to give him a little credit for that. Even this guy, and getting involved with ace-9 is just pretty reckless. So here I'm going to fold. I'm going to raise. Oh. I'm going to fold ace-3 to this guy. Especially now. Oh wow, Jonesy 24 has pulled up a seat. It's a solid addition to the table. So he 3-bets and he calls. I would expect this guy to have something decent. He just does not raise enough to be raising with air. And this guy doesn't raise much either, so I would expect to see two legit hands here, honestly. This guy would have probably pushed aces or kings, although maybe not. Okay. I'm going to c-bet this. Eduardo plays passively on the flop. So this guy's opened. Let's see what Jonesy does. I'm trying to keep an eye on the weaker players. Because when we finally get to play pot with them, we want to be ready ahead of time we want to know our strategy ahead of time for extracting value when we have a hand against them. Oh, I should have sat out. Whoops. Okay, this I'm actually going to 3-bet. We really have not had much going on. The dynamic between the two of us has been very minimal. And basically I give him absolutely no reason to think that I don't have a real hand when I 3-bet him. Sadly, though, he doesn't fold. He comes along. On a board like this, though, a continuation bet is going to be mandatory. Just because of the amount of strength we've already shown. And that this bet is going to show profit. Okay, this guy's so tight. Was it Gira? Yeah, same guy. Oh, that's too bad. Okay, so we're going to have to let this go. But I don't mind this play at all. We really don't have a dynamic, and we have not been battling, so that's kind of when, like, that's a great spot to 3-bet, just because he has no reason to think I'm just playing back. But when I c-bet that and he does that, we got to give it up. And just like for the same reason, this continuation bet was profitable just because this guy's so tight, and we know that he doesn't mess around. Okay, I'm going to call this a video, but thanks for watching, guys, and I hope it was helpful. And hit me up in the forums with any suggestions or questions or whatever. I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks a lot. If I can stop the video, my Camtasia seems to have... What is going on? Okay, there we go. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye.